Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Welcome. We're so pleased to see all of you joining us, whether you're here in person or tuning in online from across the globe. My name is Katrina Holden, and I'm a member of the RC3 Steering Committee, representing the Humanitarian Needs and Analysis Unit of the Norwegian Red Cross. I'm joined by my dear colleagues, Jose Scioli, Director of the Humanitarian Observatory of the Argentina Red Cross, and Mr. Omar Abu Samra, Director of the Global Disaster Preparedness Center, fellow members of the RC3 Steering Committee. It is a real pleasure to be here with you to launch the second edition of the RC3 Long Night of Research, a 24-hour long journey through the ideas, questions, and collaborations shaping humanitarian research across the Red Cross and Red Crescent movement. Tonight, we're gathering not just to celebrate research, but to reaffirm our collective commitment to place research, evidence, and knowledge at the very heart of humanitarian action. As many of you know, the Red Cross Red Crescent Research Consortium, or RC3, was established in 2019 as a collaborative network that brings together entities across the movement engaged in research. Today, we are a network of 23 entities, national societies, global reference centers, academies, hubs, and other RCRC entities, working to strengthen the coordination, visibility, and impact of research across the movement. RC3 supports collaboration between researchers and practitioners, promotes evidence-based decision-making, and encourages a culture of critical thinking, innovation, and knowledge sharing throughout the movement. The Long Night of Research was born from this joint commitment and mission. That research is not a luxury, but a necessity. That understanding must guide action. And that collaboration is key to building a stronger, more principled, and more effective humanitarian system, which is very much on the agenda nowadays. So today, and for the next 24 hours, through the second edition of the Long Night of Research, we shine a light on the amazing work already underway, as well as the exciting potential that lies ahead. This is more than just a research event. It is a space for reflection, learning, and connection. A moment to hear from diverse voices across the movement, senior leadership, youth, frontline actors, and researchers from around the world are all working to make humanitarian action more effective, inclusive, and impactful. Before we dive into our first round of interventions, let me quickly go over a few practical points to help the session run smoothly. Please note that this session is being recorded. We kindly ask you not to take pictures of the screen or of other participants without permission. If you have questions or want to react, you can use the chat to type your questions during or after the interventions. For any technical issues, just post your question in the chat and one of our administrators will assist you. This session is being interpreted simultaneously in French, Spanish, and Arabic. In addition, we are very fortunate to be living at a time where AI can facilitate our meetings and collaborations. We invite you to use the AI-generated captions and translations feature during this session. Looking at the bottom of your screens, you will see a feature that states Show Captions. You may click on this button, then click on the arrow on the top right and turn on translation. You can then select your speaking language as well as the caption language, which is the language in which you want to read the captions. We hope this makes sense, and a summary of this information is also on the screen and is going to be posted in the chat. Now, to officially begin this 24 hours journey into humanitarian research, we are very fortunate to have a strong lineup of voices from across the movement to help us set the tone. We are thrilled to kick off this event with 4 powerful interventions that represent the diversity of perspectives driving research forward in the movement. We'll begin with a few words from Natia Lulatse, Vice President of the International Federation of the Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies. Then we'll hear from Gilles Carbonnier, Vice President of the International Committee of the Red Cross, who will offer a unique perspective on the importance of research in conflict settings. We'll also be joined by a representative of the IFRC Youth Commission, who will speak to the vital role of youth and the importance of making research accessible, relevant, and bold. We'll listen to a special pre-recorded message from the Vice President of the Korean Red Cross, recognizing their outstanding support for research through the Asia-Pacific Disaster Resilience Center and their generous contribution to this event. And finally, and not least, we'll finish with José Scioli and Omar Abu Samra, two fellow members, as I've already said, of the RC3 Steering Committee. They will say a few words about RC3. These interventions will altogether set the stage of the rest of the event, where we'll explore pressing humanitarian research topics, spotlight ongoing interesting projects, and share ideas about how to deepen collaboration across the movement. So, without further ado, let's begin. Please join us in welcoming our first speaker today, Ms. Natia Lulatse, Vice President of the IFRC. Please, Natia, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you for inviting me today. Dear participants, honored guests, National Society representatives, staff, volunteers, and colleagues, I would like to express my gratitude to you all for participating in this very important event. The celebration of the establishment of the IFRC on the 5th of May and Red Cross Red Crescent Day on the 8th of May last week is a testament to our movement's proud history and experience in humanitarian volunteerism. Our predecessors' national societies, volunteers, and staff burned the midnight oil, working through long nights, putting ink to paper, gathering data, filling out ledgers, filling supply orders, and writing situation reports, documenting their knowledge and their hard-learned lessons. At the 33rd International Conference, we made a commitment to prioritize evidence-based decision-making, utilizing our 160 years of lived experience, lessons learned, and knowledge of how best to provide humanitarian services. The establishment of the RC3 in 2019 was a milestone in realizing this commitment and has proven vital in fostering collaboration, innovation, and research-driven humanitarian action. I would like to congratulate the RC3 Steering Committee for the outstanding work and as well thank Ms. Virginie Touart, Director of the French Red Cross Foundation. To all our partners and colleagues involved in the RC3, your dedication and commitment have made this network what it is today. We continue to work in an ever-shifting, evolving humanitarian environment, fraught with multiple hazards and obstacles, where the impacts of climate change, sea level rise, disasters, conflict, displacement, epidemics, misinformation, and inequality are reshaping vulnerability. To add further complexity, at a time when humanitarian needs to continue to grow at an alarming rate, financial sustainability is also taking a blow as we are now also required to deliver more with less funding. Your discussions in the next 24 hours on the data we collect and the research we conduct are essential to informing our future interventions, ensuring that it addresses the real needs and expectations of the impacted communities that we serve, empowering us to navigate uncertainty with confidence, and it will guide smarter programming, impact measurement, and accountability. It will also ensure efficient, cost-effective use of our funding, minimizing revenue loss, informing and strengthening our policy, advocacy, and accountability, which is the key to our credibility and legitimacy, ensuring that we continue to earn the trust in humanitarian institutions. We have made a lot of progress, but as data and research has informed us, We must not be complacent. We must strive to continue moving forward. I encourage you to continue considering how to strengthen inclusivity, safeguarding, accessibility, ease of understanding, participation and use in our data collection, research processes and research results by our volunteers and community. I also encourage you to discuss ways to advocate and promote a culture shift in the perception of research, to encourage valuing research and critical thinking at every level, empower staff and volunteers to engage with data and challenge assumptions. People to see research as a core operational tool, not an external or academic exercise. We must also ensure that we never lose sight of our fundamental principles, that it continues to be our compass in navigating these turbulent times. Let us aspire not only to share knowledge, but use the shared knowledge to inspire action that would strengthen our collective humanitarian impact. And finally, I wish you well in your deliberations. And thank you very much. Over to you, Catherine.
Thank you, Ms. Vice President, for this wonderful and inspiring, I must say, opening speech. We will now invite the ICRC Vice President, Ms. Jill Cabrinier, which I see has connected. So please, Jill, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Catherine, and hello, everyone, dear colleagues. Let me start by really echoing the comment of the Vice President of the International Federation, Natia Rolatse, to really commend all those who have contributed to establish and develop RC3 as such a wonderful research network among all the components, elements of our international movement of the Red Cross and Red Crescent. And I commend also the organizers for organizing this second edition of the RC3 lifelong research. I also appreciate the opportunity to share with you a few reflections, of course, on behalf of the International Committee of the Red Cross, and also as an academic and personally a firm believer in the transformative power of research for humanitarian action. So research matters, and research matters a lot because we are working in extremely challenging environment with a rising number of acute crises, including 120 armed conflicts and mounting geopolitical tensions. And the needs for protection and assistance has really increased under the combined effect of extreme levels of violence, people's displacements, climate risks, and environmental degradation, and the breakdown of essential services and collapsing economies. So humanitarian access, in addition to that, sometimes humanitarian access in the field has been increasingly challenging because of very high level of insecurity and widespread disinformation campaign or hate speech. Research also matters because reliable and solid data and evidence are essential. It's not optional if we are to design and implement effective, relevant, and timely interventions. Research allows us to better understand, also listen to the lived experiences of the very people and communities we seek to assist and to protect. Now, research is challenging when it is done in crisis situation, in conflict zones. Information is often limited, is contested, and trust is a rare but essential asset. And I think that research can really support us in addressing misinformation, in achieving and demonstrating humanitarian impact, and also in protecting our purely neutral, impartial, and independent humanitarian action and space. So we welcome the significant strengthening of research hubs among our movement, within our movement, and partnership among the hubs that we have seen, tapping into innovation in research methods and in research approaches. And in this context, RC3 has really provided an invaluable platform, bringing us together to build synergies and to build a stronger humanitarian evidence base. We at the ICRC, we welcome these achievements, and we are also proud to be part of these efforts. Our own operational research focuses in particular on, first, the impact of conflict on health and livelihood and how best to improve them. Second, conditions of detention for people deprived of liberty and how best to protect them. Third, protecting and restoring family links. And last but not least, enhancing respect for international humanitarian law. So, dear colleagues, dear friends, research in this domain is not just academic, it is deeply operational, it is practical and protective. It enhances our outreach and support, and it supports continuous learning and accountability. I have to acknowledge that research doesn't always translate into action. And I think Natia, let's say, referred to that. Some critical research help to challenge and reconsider some of our own assumptions, habits, and prejudices. Research helps us asking sometimes simply the right questions, but I think that having the right questions in mind is often the starting point for designing relevant action. That said, we need to do more to close the gaps between research, policy, and practice through smarter investment and stronger communication and participatory research that involve our field teams, host communities, and decision makers throughout the research process. A few principles are critical to help support such a shift. I think that our organization must be open to embrace sometimes uncomfortable findings and act upon them. I think that research literacy must be promoted from volunteers in the field and in to our headquarters, making sure that research remains grounded, relevant, and accessible in open access. And that we follow also the do no harm principle, which is key to ensure that research follows highest ethical standards. For example, at the ICRC, we meet monthly to discuss each new research project within our ethics review board, making sure that research which is carried out in sensitive environment puts the protection of affected people first. Now, turning to the future, research will continue to play a key role in addressing looming challenges related to cyber warfare and the digital transition, and as well as the combined challenges related to war, climate change, and environmental degradation, or urban warfare and long-term displacement, just to name a few. To conclude, let me invite you all to make the best out of this event, learning from one another, sharing successes, discussing failures from which we can learn, and co-creating effective solutions. Let's mobilize research to move from intuition to rigorous evidence, designing smart action, effective action for humanitarian impact. I wish you all the best. I wish you all a great second edition of this RC3 Long Night of Research, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vice President, for both these encouraging words and reflections, but also I very much enjoy how you often challenge us as researchers and producers of knowledge. So thank you for that. I'm very glad to now introduce the next speaker today. We will hear from Ms. Michelle Chu Chi, Chair of the IFRC Youth Commission and Governing Board Member. She's going to share some of her thoughts about research, data and science, and their importance for humanitarian action from the perspective of the millions and millions of young people who are part of the Red Cross and Red Crescent movement around the world, the people who are the future. So, Ms. Michelle, please, the word is yours.
First of all, thank you once again for having me here, and the warmest greetings from Malaysia to everyone joining us here today to commence the RC3 Long Night of Research. Colleagues, friends, and fellow change makers, as Catherine mentioned earlier, today I speak on behalf of not only the IFRC Youth Commission, but also millions of young people across our movement. when the word research is mentioned, I'm pretty sure in a split second, most of you would think about lab coats, statistics, and academic journals, right? I mean, I might also be a bit guilty of that form of thinking. But for a lot of young people in the movement, research is so much more than that. Research is personal because it is rooted in lived experiences of ourselves, the communities we work with, and the communities that we served. And in turn, research is also practical because it's then applied in these real communities. And most importantly, research is powerful because it drives impact and meaningful change from the ground. Research helps us to understand and navigate our rapidly changing world, and we are currently in a very volatile situation around the world as well. We face issues such as climate shocks, digital misinformation, health inequalities, and of course, conflict, as well as displacement. But young people are not sitting back. In fact, it's contrary. We're responding, we're trying to understand the situations, we're anticipating, and we're doing all that we can to prevent crisis. But evidence is essential for meaningful action. For example, in flood-prone areas or regions, we need pattern analysis to be able to prepare for floods better. In addressing the youth mental health crisis, we require solid data and, of course, deep listening to young people around us. And in our rampant misinformation era, science and data can provide three key ingredients: credibility, confidence, as well as the protection that we need for communities as well as for ourselves. Young people do not want to just be consumers and creators of data. We do not want to just be handed research findings, report, and be told about what is going on, but we want to co-create research and be part of the process itself. How do we want to do it? We want to do it through ethical and respectful data collection. We want to help to make sense of the results of our findings through thoughtful interpretations. And we want to share the results of research in ways that are accessible and meaningful. We also want to help to ask some important but sometimes hard questions. Whose voices are heard in this research? Whose are still being left out? And whose stories are still missing? Research, in essence, must reflect the diversity, strength, and dignity of everyone, including that of young people. Without this, research is incomplete. And research findings must never sit on the shelf or solely in academic journals, because it should be utilized to inform how programs are designed, to help shape how funding is allocated, and to influence key decisions. Most importantly, research needs to be utilized to bridge the gap between youth-led insights as well as organizational strategy. And the good news, or the truth, is that youth-led research examples are already happening. Can name you a few, such as citizen science on air quality, community mapping to better prepare for disasters, analyzing social media to spot and counter misinformation, and conducting peer-to-peer research on violence, exclusion, and mental health issues that are very close to the heart of a lot of young people. And you might ask, what do we need? How can you do better to support us as young people? We're asking for more training, more resources, and more opportunities, for example, to join research team. We're also asking for greater investment in youth-led research and innovation. My reminder to everyone here is that young people are already leading, innovating, and researching. We're here, as I mentioned earlier, to help ask some of the hard questions, but also to find solutions together with all of you. And my call to action is for everyone to include us, include young people, to trust young people, and to make space for young people. Because at the end of the day, research is never just about a technical process and cold data points on a paper, right? It's deeply human. It's about listening, it's about questioning further, and it's about learning along the process of researching. And more importantly, and believe this is what a lot of researchers hold dearly to heart as well, it's about imagining a better world and building it step by step. And these are the kind of research that young people want to lead. This is also the kind of research that our movement needs. And this is the kind of research that changes lives. Thank you once again for having me. And I hope that you have a fruitful next 24 hours.
Thank you, Michelle, for this powerful statement, I must say. And I couldn't agree more with what you said about we should be even more concerned with involving and engaging youth in our knowledge production processes. So I think that's something we'll keep in mind, all of you, all of us, after your powerful speech. So thank you so much. And now I'll invite all of you to join us in a pre-recorded speech from Ms. Jeon Cha-jung, Vice President of the Korean Red Cross. I was lucky enough to meet Ms. Cha-jung during the previous RC3 Global Annual Research Workshop, which took place in Seoul, October last year. It was our dear colleagues from the Asia Pacific Disaster and Resilience Center, hosted by the Korean Red Cross, who kindly welcomed us to Seoul for this workshop. And there were really 3 meaningful and memorable days, I must say, where we exchanged ideas and knowledge, how to work with different kinds of academic research projects. And it was also during this workshop that we had the great pleasure of receiving an important donation from the Women's Advisory Group of the Korean Red Cross, specifically dedicated to funding this second edition of the RC3 Long Night of Research. I think it goes without saying that we are immensely grateful to the Women's Advisory Group for this generous donation. We're completely dependent upon such donations, so that's yeah. So, and we're very delighted to share with you the message recorded by Ms. Jeon Cha-jung, who, despite not being able to join in person the ceremony because of the time difference, wanted to share some words and good spirit with us for the event. And I'm sure she'll join some of the sessions when she wakes up in the morning. So please.
Dear friends and colleagues, warm greetings from the Korean National Red Cross and the Women's Special Advisory Committee for Volunteers of Korean Red Cross. It is a great honor to join you virtually for the second edition of the RC3 Long Night of Research. I'd like to express our deep appreciation to the organizers of this event and to all those who are helping to place research at the heart of humanitarian action. We are proud to support this important initiative, not only as a donor, but as a committed partner in the global effort to advance evidence-based approaches across the Red Cross and Red Crescent movement. This year marks the 120th anniversary of the Korean Red Cross and the 70th anniversary of the Women's Special Advisory Committee for Volunteers of the Korean Red Cross. In a world increasingly shaped by uncertainty, climate crisis, and compounding disasters, we believe that research is no longer optional. It is essential. That is why, since 2016, the Korean Red Cross has proudly hosted the Asia Pacific Disaster Resilience Center, a regional reference center dedicated to building disaster and climate resilience. At APDRC, we work closely with national societies, academic partners, and practitioners across the region to promote localized, data-driven solutions to disaster risk reduction. We support communities to better understand the hazard they face. We invest in risk assessment and predictive modeling, helping us not only to respond more effectively, but to prepare and prevent where possible. We believe in the power of innovation. That's why we are developing new educational tools, including virtual reality and immersive technologies, to bring disaster preparedness to life and reach people of all ages in engaging, accessible ways. These tools help translate the research into something tangible, something that communities can use to protect themselves and their loved ones. And we believe in the value of bringing people together, which is why we were honored to host the 6th RC3 Global Annual Research Workshop and the 5th International Disaster Resilience Seminar in 2024. Both events reminded us that no single actor can tackle global humanitarian challenges alone. Collaboration is key. As we gather here for the RC3 Long Night of Research, I'm encouraged to see the incredible momentum building within our movement. Research is no longer confined to one department or one reason. It is becoming part of our shared humanitarian culture, driving smarter, more effective, and more ethical responses to the world's most pressing challenges. The Korean Red Cross is committed to continuing this journey. We will keep investing in research. We will keep supporting innovation. And we will keep working with partners across the movement to ensure that our collective action is grounded in evidence, guided by science, and always centered on the needs of those we serve. To all of you participating in this event, thank you for your curiosity, your dedication, and your drive to make humanitarian work more impactful. May tonight's conversations inspire new ideas, new collaborations, and new solutions that help build a more resilient and compassionate world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Cha-Young, both for the warm hospitality we experienced once visiting you in Seoul, but also for I do think she definitely sent off this event to a good start. So now we simply want to close this opening ceremony with a few words from two members of the RC3 steering committee to talk a little bit more about what our RC3 is. What were our initial hopes, what we have achieved so far, including the previous edition of the Long Night, and last but not least, where do we hope to go next? Omar, would you like to take the floor?
Sure, Catherine, thank you so much. And I really am inspired by the speakers we've had so far today, and I'm really looking forward to the next 24 hours. Good evening, good morning, or good afternoon to everyone joining us from across the world. My name is Omar Abu Samra. I'm the director of the Global Disaster Preparedness Center and a proud member of the RC3 Steering Committee. I'm honored to be here today and to represent the RC3 network and to share a few words about who we are, what we do, and what we're here to do tonight. So what is RC3? RC3 is a global network of research, academic, and scientific initiatives from within our movement. We were launched at the International Conference in 2019 from the initiative of a few pioneering entities, the French Red Cross Foundation, the Red Cross Red Crescent Climate Center, the International Center for Humanitarian Affairs of the Kenya Red Cross, and the GDPC. Since then, we've grown, not just in numbers, but in collaboration, trust, and impact. Why did we create the RC3? In 2019, we noticed that there was something significant happening across the movement. More and more initiatives were dedicated to research and knowledge, and that trend was emerging. It was a moment of possibility. We saw the need to bring these efforts together and to learn from one another, to avoid duplication and to build something greater than the sum of our parts. Fast forward to today, RC3 has 23 members spanning all regions in the movement. We have added members from global reference centers like the Global First Aid Reference Center and the Livelihood Center, National Society research departments and entities like the Turkish Red Crescent Academy, the Humanitarian Needs and Analysis Unit of the Norwegian Red Cross, the Japanese Red Cross Disaster Management Research Institute, and many others working in areas of migration, health, IHL, disaster risk reduction, the list goes on. Over the 5 years, we've moved from being a group of fragmented initiatives to becoming a vibrant, collaborative, distributed network. We've held global research workshops every year, as Katrine referenced the Seoul meeting. We've co-created collaborative projects, and in 2023, we hosted our first RC3 Long Night of Research. That was a 24-hour global conversation on volunteering. It was joined by over 500 participants from 62 countries. Most of them were volunteers. Here and now, we're officially launching the second edition of this event. This year, we have a multi-thematic focus and even greater ambition. We've thought this second edition is a space for constructive debate on research in the humanitarian sector, a place to learn about important research initiatives and findings from within the Red Cross Red Crescent movement, and have rich and practical discussions about whether and how research can support the humanitarian sector and our movement in facing some of the most pressing global humanitarian challenges of our time. And that's it for me now. Katrina, back to you. Thanks for joining us for this great event.
Thank you, Omar. Yeah, it has been a long road ending up where we are now, and we have a long road to go as well. Jose, please, you joined us in the steering committee just less than half a year ago. We'll be interested to hear more about your experiences. Please, the floor is yours, Mr. Jose.
Y gracias, Catrín. Mi nombre es José Scioli, soy el director del Observatorio Humanitario de la Cruz Roja Argentina. El Observatorio Humanitario de Cruz Roja Argentina fue creado en el año 2020, produce evidencia confiable para fortalecer las acciones humanitarias, tanto a nivel nacional como internacional, enfocándose en temas alineados con el Plan Estratégico 2030 de la Federación Internacional, como cambio climático, calidad de vida, desplazamientos migratorios, donación de órganos, personas adultas mayores, entre otras agendas. Llevamos realizadas 21 investigaciones relevando más de 50.000 datos en forma presencial con nuestro voluntariado y hemos monitoreado más de 1.775.000 datos en redes sociales públicas. Quisiera destacar la investigación realizada en 90 países de los 5 continentes sobre los aprendizajes adquiridos en la pandemia, que la podrán encontrar en la página de la Cruz Roja Argentina. Como mencionó Omar, la misión del RC3 es clara y poderosa: mejorar el impacto de la acción humanitaria mediante el uso y producción de evidencias. Creemos que el conocimiento es un bien común y buscamos mejorar la calidad y relevancia de los servicios humanitarios, apoyando a las sociedades nacionales, la Federación Internacional y el Comité Internacional de la Cruz Roja a tomar decisiones informadas basadas en evidencia. El RC3 es una red abierta y voluntaria que se reúne en línea periódicamente y una vez al año en forma presencial. Nuestro comité ejecutivo refleja la diversidad de los miembros, trabajando en proyectos colaborativos que conectan el conocimiento local con el pensamiento global. Nuestro equipo realizó en 2024 una investigación de capacidades instaladas dentro del RC3, que entre otros datos relevantes destacamos: el 70% de los miembros tenemos un enfoque global en la producción de evidencia, el 65% trabajamos con investigadores y científicos asociados, el 80% producimos datos que son utilizados para el fortalecimiento de acciones humanitarias y políticas públicas, y el 80% de nuestras investigaciones son insumos para el desarrollo de las sociedades nacionales como actores locales, fuertes y eficaces. Desde la conformación del RC3 hemos logrado importantes hitos, como 2 proyectos de investigación global sobre el voluntariado y olas de calor, y la publicación de la Guía de Referencia Internacional sobre investigación del voluntariado, que incluye más de 150 recursos. También creamos la herramienta de mapeo de investigación global del RC3, que contiene más de 500 proyectos registrados, siendo el principal repositorio de investigación en línea de acceso público del movimiento. En los últimos 5 años, los miembros del RC3 han publicado más de 800 artículos y documentos relevantes. Mirando hacia el futuro, para el periodo 2024 y 2026, nos enfocaremos en 4 objetivos claros. En primer lugar, apoyar a las sociedades nacionales en el uso y realización de investigaciones que fortalezcan su impacto global. En segundo término, producir y compartir conocimientos que fundamenten las decisiones y operaciones humanitarias. En tercer lugar, conectar a nuevos pares y colaborar en investigaciones que nos ayuden a anticipar y a responder tendencias globales. Y en cuarto lugar, la integración de la inteligencia artificial en nuestras metodologías avanzadas de investigación humanitaria, respetando los principios de ética en su uso. En este sentido, algunos de nuestros próximos proyectos incluyen una nueva iniciativa sobre el uso de inteligencia artificial aplicada a la investigación humanitaria, elaborar un informe sobre las capacidades de investigación en el movimiento y crear una escuela de verano del RC3. Además, estaremos presentes en la conferencia de la Asociación Internacional de Estudios Humanitarios en Estambul en el próximo mes de octubre. Para concluir, consideramos que el RC3 genera evidencia fundamental para responder de manera más eficaz y humana y justa a los retos humanitarios. Esperamos que este evento inspire a las sociedades nacionales a participar activamente en las investigaciones para abordar los desafíos actuales y emergentes. Gracias por estar aquí y por ser parte de este esfuerzo colectivo, y continuamos con la conversación. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you, Jose, and thank you, Omar, and thank you once again, both the vice presidents and Michelle, for your thoughtful and inspiring words. And I really think it's great sitting here trying to listen to you in Spanish, Jose, because I'm practicing, but at the same time being able to use AI and have the transcript. It shows the possibilities we have. Being a global network, we need to use those opportunities, and this will help us bring us closer together, I think. I've also noted in the chat that someone has asked about more information about the RC3, and we're very happy that you are. And I see that Omar has already posted a link to our website, so I recommend all of you to go in there. But also, please reach out to us. That's why we're here. Now you have the contact information of both Jose, Omar, and me, and many others. So we're very keen to talk more about who we are, and it's a very bottom-up network, and I think that's really the strength of the Red Cross Red Crescent movement. Well, we're coming to an end. I think this opening has made it clear that the long night of research is not just an event, it's an invitation. An invitation to listen deeply, but also to share boldly and to reflect together and on how we can make our work more grounded, more connected, and more courageous. Over the next 24 hours, we'll travel across continents and time zones. We'll dive into questions that don't have easy answers. And that's the point. I think Jill talked about that and described that in well manners. Because research is not about certainty. It's about curiosity, humility, and a relentless pursuit of better ways to serve humanity. Asking the right questions, I think. So whether you're joining us for one session or staying up all night, I know that last time we had the long night of research, there were people doing that. But we encourage any one of you to take part fully. Ask questions, drop reflections in the chat, and connect with others. And let yourself and share your inspirations. This is a space where everyone, regardless of role, position, region, or experience, age, as Michelle also talked about, all of us have something valuable to bring to the table. And that's what makes this event so powerful. Let's keep our minds open, our conversations lively, and our ambitions high. I think that kind of sums up the next 24 hours. We are officially off, and let's see where the next 24 hours will take us. Thank you once again for joining us, and yeah, good luck to all of us.